In our little house, the sun always seemed to shine on my brother Leo. Mum would ruffle his hair and call him her little prince. His drawings, even the scribbly ones, were stuck on the fridge with a special magnet. When he scored a goal in the school football match, Mum threw a party with cake and fizzy pop for all his friends. He was the star of our family, bright and loud and loved. I was more like a shadow, quiet and trying not to get in the way. I suppose I was just there. It wasn't that Mum was ever shouting mean to me, not really. It was a quieter kind of hurt, like a constant, gentle rain that soaks you through without you even noticing the storm. My name is Maya, and for a long time I felt like my name was written in invisible ink. When I brought home a school report with straight A's, Mum would just nod and say, "That's nice, dear," before asking Leo about his day. Her smiles were for him. Her hugs were for him. Her worries were for him. I would sit at the dinner table pushing peas around my plate, listening to them talk and laugh. It was like watching a film that I wasn't in. I often wondered if I had done something wrong, something terrible that I couldn't remember, to make her love me less. It was a heavy feeling for a small girl to carry, like a backpack filled with stones that I could never take off. I tried so hard to win her affection, to earn just a little piece of the sunshine that Leo basked in so effortlessly. I would tidy my room until it was spotless, wash the dishes without being asked, and even offer to help her with the heavy shopping bags. But my efforts seemed to go unnoticed, like ripples in a pond that vanished as soon as they appeared. She would give me a quick, distracted thank you, her eyes already searching for Leo. The praise, the warmth, the soft look in her eyes that I craved more than anything. It was all reserved for him. This constant rejection chipped away at my heart, leaving tiny, invisible cracks that I feared would one day shatter me completely. So, I learned to live in the quiet spaces. I made friends with the characters in my library books, and found comfort in the neat, predictable world of numbers and equations. While Leo was outside playing, I was inside studying. My bedroom became my sanctuary, a place where my achievements mattered, even if only to me. The silence that my mother's indifference created became the canvas on which I painted my dreams of a different life. A life where I wouldn't be a shadow, but a person worthy of the spotlight, a person who mattered. My desk lamp became my sun, and the rustle of turning pages was my applause. It was a lonely existence, but it was mine. The day I turned 18 felt like the first day of the rest of my life. I had been planning my escape for years, saving every penny from my little part-time job at the corner shop. It wasn't much, but it was enough. I packed a single, worn-out suitcase with my few clothes, my most treasured books, and a heart full of nervous hope. I didn't have a grand plan or a place to go, just a fierce determination to build a life where I was the main character, not a forgotten supporting role. I left a short note on the kitchen table, not a sad one, just a simple, "I've gone to find my future. I'll be okay." I knew Leo would be fine. Mom would make sure of it. Leaving home was the scariest and most liberating thing I had ever done. The city was huge and loud and overwhelming. For the first few months, I worked 2 jobs, serving coffee in the mornings and stacking shelves at night, just to afford a tiny room in a shared house. I was often tired, and sometimes I was so lonely it felt like a physical ache in my chest. But for the first time, I felt a sense of control. Every cup of coffee I served, every box I stacked, was a brick I was laying for my own future. I was building something from nothing, and the feeling was exhilarating. I wasn't anyone's shadow anymore. I was just Maya, trying her best. I never forgot the reason I had left. The memory of my mother's indifference was the fuel that kept me going when things got tough. I enrolled in night classes at the local college, studying business and finance. My brain, which had been my only refuge as a child, was now my greatest tool. While other people my age were out having fun, I was hunched over textbooks, my mind absorbing information like a sponge. I was driven by a deep need to prove to myself that I was capable, that I was worthy, that the little girl who felt invisible could become someone impossible to ignore. It was a silent promise I made to her every single day. Slowly, things started to change. My hard work paid off. I got a better job in an office, then an even better one. I moved out of the shared house and into a small flat of my own. It was the first space that was truly mine, and I decorated it with bright colors and happy things. I made friends, people who saw me for who I was and liked me for it. I learned to laugh, to trust, and to believe in my own value. The old wounds were still there, but they were healing. I was becoming confident and strong. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I wanted to be whole. 10 years. A whole decade had passed since I walked out of that little house with my suitcase. I was no longer the timid, invisible girl. I had built my own graphic design company from the ground up, a business that was now thriving and successful. I lived in a bright, airy apartment that I loved, and I was surrounded by friends who felt like family. One day, an unexpected phone call came. It was Leo. His voice was strained, full of a worry I had never heard before. He told me that Dad had lost his job a while ago, and things were bad. They were about to lose the house, the very house I had been so desperate to escape. Driving back to my hometown felt surreal. The streets were the same, but I was different. I pulled up outside the familiar front door in a car that cost more than I had ever dreamed of owning. I took a deep breath and knocked. When my mother opened the door, she looked older, tired, and smaller than I remembered. For a moment, she just stared, her eyes wide with disbelief. She didn't see the shy, awkward girl she had ignored. She saw a confident woman, dressed in a smart coat, holding a set of car keys. "Maya?" she whispered, as if she were seeing a ghost. I just smiled, a calm, gentle smile. "Hello, Mom," I said. "I heard you might need some help." The atmosphere inside was heavy with unspoken words and years of distance. My father sat slumped in his armchair, looking defeated. Leo stood awkwardly by the fireplace, the golden boy shine completely gone, replaced by the dullness of worry. They were expecting anger, perhaps. They were expecting me to say, "I told you so," or to gloat about my success while they were struggling. I could see the shame and the fear in their eyes. They had pushed me away, and now they were in a position where they needed me. The power had shifted completely, and the tension in the room was so thick you could almost touch it. But I didn't feel the triumph I once thought I would. Looking at them, so broken and lost, I didn't feel anger. I felt a surprising and overwhelming wave of compassion. These were the people who had hurt me, yes, but they were also my family. My mother, who had never truly seen me, now couldn't take her eyes off me. My father, who had been a silent bystander, looked at me with a flicker of pride. And Leo, my prince of a brother, looked at me with desperation. In that moment, I realized that my journey hadn't just been about proving them wrong. It had been about becoming strong enough to do what was right. I sat them all down at the old kitchen table, the very same table where I had felt so small and alone. I didn't start with lectures or accusations. I started by listening. I asked them to tell me everything that had happened. For the first time, my mother spoke to me not as a child to be dismissed, but as an equal. She told me about their financial struggles, her fears, and her regrets. She cried, and this time I didn't feel a cold satisfaction. I felt a pang in my own heart. I saw not just the mother who had failed me, but a woman who was scared and had made mistakes, just like everyone else. The solution to their biggest problem was simple for me. I told them I would pay off their debts and help my dad set up a small handyman business, something he had always wanted to do. The relief in the room was immediate and immense, like a storm cloud finally breaking. My father looked at me, his eyes filled with tears, and managed to say a choked, "Thank you, Maya." But I knew that money was only part of the solution. It could fix the house, but it couldn't fix the family. The real healing had to come from somewhere deeper, from a place that money couldn't touch. The real work was just beginning. In the weeks that followed, I visited often. I brought groceries, but I also brought conversation. I helped Leo polish his CV and practice for job interviews, encouraging him in a way he wasn't used to. One afternoon, while we were washing dishes together, my mother turned to me, her hands submerged in the soapy water. "I'm so sorry, Maya," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I was so focused on Leo, I didn't see you. I didn't see how wonderful you were. It was the apology I had waited my whole life to hear." I just took her hand and said, "I know, Mom, but you see me now. That's what matters." Forgiveness isn't a magic wand that erases the past. It's more like building a bridge over a deep canyon. The canyon of hurt was still there, but we were finally building a way to cross it, one plank of kindness and understanding at a time. My success didn't just save my family financially. My journey had given me the strength to offer them a different kind of wealth, the richness of grace, and a second chance. The little girl who once felt like a shadow had returned home, not for revenge, but to bring the light. And in that light, our family, once broken, began to heal.